everyone. My name is Danny Love. I am very nervous to shoot this video, and I'll explain why. First, I didn't realize that I would be doing this video. Something has been going on like over the last I don't remember when I did the last video on narcissism. It was probably a little over a week ago. So during this time, so much has been revealed to me, and God really has been speaking to me about a lot of things. But these are this I don't even know how to. This revelation really is about me, so I'm kind of letting you in to my world, and am going to divulge a lot of personal information. So it makes me very nervous, but I understand that the greater purpose is not me, but it's about, you know, helping people and bringing truth and light to people, and we do that through Jesus Christ. So if I have to look silly or crazy or whatever, I will do that because I just want to be obedient to what the Lord, you know, asks me to do. So first, I want to say, wow, like I received so many messages from people regarding that video that I did about a week ago. And I honestly am shocked. I'm shocked. I got a lot of positive remarks. I got a little bit of negative, and I was expecting that. You know, I was expecting people to say, you're crazy, the non-spiritual people. But most of it was very positive. I got a lot of mostly women coming forward and saying, and keep in mind, these are women who are of the faith, who were saying that they finally felt like they understood what was going on with them, that this had been happening to them back to back to back, you know, same as my story, and they just didn't understand why it was happening. And you know, I got a lot of questions and people wanting more information on it. So that's really inspiring for me to continue, you know, talking about this stuff. So during this time, like I said, God has really been revealing a lot to me. And let me just say this. Let me back up and say this to the people that have wrote me, have messaged me, and to the people who just related to what I had to say on that last video. I'm going to say this because I know it needs to be said because I've dealt with it. You are not crazy. You are not crazy. What is happening to you is very real. It's not in your head. I struggled with that. I felt sometimes ashamed because I allowed people to make me feel ashamed about what was going on with me. And, you know, Satan will use people, even the people that you love. And I would hear a lot that, well, Danny, you must, you know, you're the common denominator. So what are you doing? And I'm not going to place all the blame on other people, but you are a target for a reason. And that reason is that you are powerful and you love God. So I just first want to say that you're not crazy. And if you are listening to this and you don't have an experience with these demonic entities and narcissism, and you were the one who, in support of your friends, telling your friends that they were crazy, or, you know, just sending opposing information to minimize what your friend or your family member was saying to you, that is not helpful, because you don't understand what someone is going through that has been through this trauma. It is very difficult. It's confusing. You feel betrayed. You're so hurt. And this typically happens to people who are empathetic and very loving and caring. So you feel a huge sense of betrayal because you have given yourself to this person. So I just want to say that you're not crazy. Okay, thank you. We got that out of the way. So today I want to talk about what God has revealed to me and share a story with you. I am asking that you listen to this with an open heart and an open mind, because what I am going to say it could sound a little crazy, but I tell you, I'm being completely honest with you. And I believe that there is meaning and purpose in everything that happens to us. And I'm going to use what happened to me as a way of warning and helping other people that this has happened to. So first, I'm going to just kind of give you some background, a little background. So over the last, I would say, 3 years, God really has been calling me, to some form of ministry. And because I was not ready, because I was still, I had one foot in and one foot out, kind of teetering on both sides, and kind of wanted to live my life the way that I wanted to live, I just really ignored it. Not only that, just not feeling worthy enough of being a voice because of the way that I dress or the way that I speak, and all of these different things that we as Christians think of, that Satan puts in our head. And we also have to remember that God just loves us unconditionally, so we should never listen to that. But so over the past 3 years, this has been happening to me, and I just really just pushed it aside, just kept ignoring it. But over the last year, like, the conviction has been so strong and intense, where it's gotten to a point where I just cannot ignore it anymore. So I think I told you in the other video that the incident that happened in church, where I had this prophetic message from a pastor, and just basically saying that God was going to use my platform. And then, which was very dramatic, the way that it happened. I don't want to repeat it over again. But about 8 months ago, something else happened. So I had just broken up in a relationship, and this was a relationship with someone who was narcissistic. And that night I could not sleep. And I just felt a lot of spiritual warfare. And there was a lot of demonic voices. It was Satan. A lot of voices in my head, and it was just a lot of just hot and just bad energy in the room. And I knew what was going on. I was hearing suicide and all this stuff. I'm not suicidal, but I was just hearing it. Like, Satan was really attacking me, and I knew what was going on. So I began to rebuke him, and I began to pray, and he left. So the next morning, I called my sister, and she was in a hurry, so I really didn't have time to talk to her. We maybe spoke for a few seconds, and she's like, "I'm sorry, I'm running out the door." She was like, "I'll call you back later." So we hung up, and 20 seconds later, she calls me back crying. And I was like, "What's wrong?" And she was like, "Well, God just spoke to me." And I said, "Okay." I said, "So what did he say?" And she said, "He just told me that Satan is after you. He's trying to kill you, and he's going to come after you hard. He doesn't want you to have what you're meant to have, and for you to be who you're meant to be." And then I told her, what happened the night before. So, I knew that was, confirmation coming from God. So, I understood that this kind of stuff, yes, it happens to a lot of people, but it doesn't happen to everyone. And I understood, because of what has been revealed to me in the last 3 years, that, Satan has been attacking me because I have a voice and a purpose, and he doesn't want me to fulfill that purpose. So I understood what was going on, but again, pushed it aside. So with this last relationship, again, there was a narcissistic relationship just recently. Again, it just really brought me to my knees, and really just put me in a place of surrender. And I was just like, God, I just got really raw with God. And I was like, you know, I'm so tired of making the same mistake, the same pattern, and choosing the life that I want to live instead of embracing the life that I'm meant to live. And I just said, you know, just take me, use me, do whatever you want with me. I give it all up to you. So I'm living in this place of surrender right now. And I know that, you know, I have a message, and I know that I'm meant to help other people. And don't get me wrong, I don't have all the answers. I'm still learning in my faith. This just actually helps me with my healing, and also being able to learn myself. So anyway, so over the last week, God began to reveal things to me. So I was driving to my mom's house 2 days after I shot that video. And usually, you know, I play music in the car, and I wasn't doing that. I just wanted to hear from the Father. You know, there wasn't anything in particular that I needed to hear. I just wanted to hear from him. I long to be closer to him right now. So in that moment, God says to me that the reason that what happened to you on Halloween 4 years ago is for you to understand this moment right now. So I'll back up. So 4 years ago on Halloween, my sister's birthday is a couple of days before Halloween, and I think it had landed on a Friday or a Saturday, so we actually celebrated her birthday on Halloween. And we went out to dinner. We don't celebrate Halloween. We went out to dinner, and afterwards they had gone out, and she asked me if I wanted, you know, to go out. And I was like, no, you know, I'm tired. I'm just gonna, you know, go home. So I go home and, you know, get in bed, and I fall asleep. And then all of a sudden I wake up to this loud noise, a noise I've never heard before. It's the loudest noise I've ever heard in my life. And it was a screeching noise. It sounded like a train like slamming on its brakes. So that metal to metal, it was just like just loud. And all of a sudden this huge black body, like black in color, started to crawl on me, and it was huge. It was like part man, part animal, and it was deformed, and it was hairy. And it just started to crawl on me and tried to rape me. And, you know, I began to pray. I began to pray, and it left. And, you know, I started praying. I didn't understand why it was happening. It was weird. I wasn't scared though. I wasn't scared. I felt at peace. It was scary when it was happening, but once I prayed, I just felt at peace, and God is so good. You know, God gave me that peace. And we also have to remember that fear does not come from God. That comes from Satan. So I know that when I prayed, you know, God had given me that peace. So I went back to sleep, and same thing happened again. Prayed, went away. So in the morning, I contacted the women in my family because I was just curious to know, like, if this had ever happened to anybody before. And no, it hadn't. So, okay. So we're going to fast forward back to 7 days ago. So I'm driving in the car, and God shows me the reason that happened to you is because Satan has been trying to possess you through these men that you've been in relationships with. And to me, like, that was mind blowing. That essentially, if you guys believe in soul ties or understand soul ties, and if you don't, please read up on it because it's very serious. You're talking, and I spoke about it a little bit in the last video, but you're talking about when you are when you are physically intimate with someone, your spiritual souls are combined. So whatever is going on in that other person can be transferred to you. And I thank God that, I was covered in Jesus's blood, and I was okay. But this was consistently happening to me in the last 4 relationships because Satan was trying to get rid of me. So when God showed me that, it shook me. I just began to cry. I was just like, I can't believe that. It was just crazy. It was crazy to me. But that's why this was happening. So if this has been happening to you over and over and over, and you love God, you understand why. And you have to protect yourself. You need to cover yourself. I know a lot of us don't like to think about the spiritual realm, but we have to understand that this physical world that we live in is not it. Behind the veil is very real, and there are spiritual and evil entities that we don't see and that will transfer and jump into people. So we have to be careful. Right now, we are living in a time where we are nearing the end. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I do believe it's going to happen soon. There's just so much evidence of what's going on in the world right now correlating with Revelations. And I feel like this is the first time in history where it's all happening at once. This is like the first time. And I know that there is this huge spirit of narcissism, in our world today because of what we've created. We have pushed God aside and we have made ourselves God. So Satan is using that. Satan will use whatever he can to get his foot in there. And, he is a deceiver. So you really have to guard your heart. You have to guard your heart like no other time right now. I mean, we are children of God, and he is after us. He is not playing any games right now. He is not. He will use whatever he can. And because we have this spirit of narcissism in our society right now, he is using that. He is using people and souls. And when you're dealing with someone who is a narcissist and they don't have any empathy or sympathy, or they don't understand love, they are just empty inside, it's so easy for him to use these people to get to you. So you need to guard your heart. I will also say, and this is something that I've had to learn and take a hold of, is I can no longer be in a relationship with someone I am unequally yoked. And I know it's difficult. It's difficult because we live in a day and age now where people don't believe in anything. And I've struggled so much with this because, moving to Denver it's just a completely different culture. And there's not a lot of Christians here, not like, where I come from. So it's always hard to, meet men who are of the faith, but you compromise so much of who you are in your identity in Christ that being with someone who doesn't have a heart for God will pull you away from what is true and real, and that will help you walk in your purpose. You need to choose someone that is going to get you closer to God and not pull you away from God. And I say that I cannot say that in a more, I don't even know how I can drill that in. That is so important. So that's really just, my message. Like I said, this message was really about, it's just a testimony actually. And, I don't care how I sound. God spoke to me and said that I named you your name, Danielle, Daniel, because it means God is my judge. And he told me I named you that because I am qualifying you. I am the only one that judges you. I don't care what people think, what people have to say about you, say about your past or how you are as a person. I am qualifying you. So at the expense of whatever I look like, I don't care. Like for me, it's about souls now. It is. And it's about healing and reconciliation and redemption, that we all need that. So I will be praying for you all. Please keep the comments coming, messages coming. You know, I want to hear from you. I'm going to continue to do videos. I'm new to this, so please be patient with me. I hope I get better at this. I love you all. God bless. So there was something that I forgot to mention. I am so sorry. Well, one, make sure that you guys are cleansing yourself of these soul ties and these people that you've been connected with. That is so important because soul ties are real. I forgot. So the story about God revealing this stuff to me in the car, the next day I woke up in the morning and I was reading my devotionals and praying, and you know, my devotionals come at random, so it's not something that, you know, I choose. It just comes at random, and I knew that this was God confirming to me what he had put in my heart. This is, you know, this is real. So this is what my devotionals were. So it says, I'm just reading, I'm not reading the whole thing, I'm just reading bits and pieces of it. So it says, but the devil and his minions want to shut down the flow of God's power and ability in your life. Hell has launched a dark, malicious conspiracy against you. I will unmask 3 of hell's unlawful conspirators and show you how these particular spirits have similarities in their operations to bind and quench the life-giving breath and anointing of God. This evil, toxic trio twist turns, seduces, and restricts in order to hinder the spiritual progress of God's people. As you embark on this journey, your spiritual eyes will be open to see and recognize the hidden operations of these evil spirits. It is time for you to personally come under the refreshing winds of heaven and be released in your new season. It is time for your destiny to manifest. It is time to see your prophetic promises realized. And then it talks about the story of John the Baptist when he gets his head decapitated. So it says, John the Baptist was murdered at the request of a demon-possessed woman. This was not a natural anger, but spiritual rage. John refused to endorse the unlawful union of the king and his new love. This is one of the attributes of rugged prophets. They will not bow to spiritual pressure when they perceive that something is wrong. The Jezebel spirit, which in biblical times is the equivalent of a narcissist, is a spiritual assassin that takes particular aim at all things prophetic. It uses various means to seduce its victims. I mean, this stuff is real. Like, this is biblical. You know, what God has been revealing to me is it's real. So protect yourselves, guys. This is serious. We are entering into a time of spiritual warfare. So just, you know, nothing to be afraid of, because like I said, you know, God is the fear does not come from God. You know, we don't have anything to be fearful of because he's always with us. So God bless.